Terrebonne Parish School District is now hiring bus drivers. A valid CDL is required. If you don't have a CDL, we have paid training available. You must be able to pass a medical health exam and a drug test. Our salary range is very competitive with similar jobs starting at $26 per hour. Benefits include free health insurance and retirement. Contact the TPSD Transportation Office at 876-7400 or apply online at www.tpsd.org.
A new company with a lot of history. GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.
Good evening and welcome to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and joining us tonight from the Terrebonne Parish School District are Mark Torbert, the Child Welfare and Attendance Director, and Gary Williams Sr., the new Security Coordinator. I would like to thank you both for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
I know recently the school district has implemented some additional safety procedures and policies. Tonight we're going to go ahead and discuss a few of those changes within the district. First off, we now have a new position called the Security Coordinator. Can you give us some insight on what brought about these changes in this new position?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Renee. And again, thank you for having us. So working with the board and working with Mr. Ogeron, Mr. Butler in our department, with security being an ongoing concern, no matter how safe our campuses may be, you're always going to have to think outside the box of what things can keep our campuses safe. And so with that, it becomes a large task for any one person or two people really to handle, amongst the other things that Corey and I deal with as well on a daily basis. So working with the board and working with finance as well as Mr. Ogeron, we developed the security coordinator position with the job description and so on, and put it out there for anyone who was interested in applying with a minimum of 10 years of experience in law enforcement. And thankfully, of the many qualified applicants we had, we were able to get Mr. Gary Williams to join us, who came over from the state police. And I'll turn it over to him if he'd like to add something.
Yes, I would like to. Welcome to Terrebonne Parish School District.
Thank you.
What will be your prime objective for this new role?
Well, my prime objective is safety for kids, the staff, the administration, as well as the public. When they own the school grounds, campuses, sporting events, or what have you, anything that's related to school board activities.
And what is the timeline for some of these policies? Have you started right away and you're making some changes?
Yes, we implemented everything right away. They already had some stuff in place when I actually took the position, as well as myself and Mr. Torbert and Mr. Butler went to a national safety conference last week where we was able to see some additional things that's going on nationwide. And with that being said, Terrebonne Parish had already implemented most of the stuff that everybody around the country is doing. So we're moving forward and we're moving in the right direction with safety at the school system.
Yeah, definitely of importance. I know some of the changes also this school year are going to be the new book bag policy. Can either of you discuss the new policy that is in place?
Sure. So back in the spring, well, actually before that, if many people who have attended different NFL events, maybe NBA as well, a lot of our larger college events, they've already been using clear bag policies in those types of arenas or events with the idea of security in mind. And when it comes to us, we haven't implemented one in the school day or even for our activities such as sporting events and concerts and so on. But looking at different districts across the state, some had already implemented, whether it be just in events or whether it be during the school day or both. And so using their models to try to see if we can formulate a policy that would be one that would help us in the process or procedures of when we're looking into different things or items that kids are bringing on campus with metal detectors and so on. We met as a review committee to make a suggestion to the board education policy committee in May to then determine whether or not, in April, and then the board met in May to determine whether or not they wanted to move forward with that. And once the the board was able to move forward with the policy. It has put it in place. And so the bags have to be completely clear. They can be tinted, but they have to be clear and free of any kind of designs and things like that. They can't have logos or labels on them as long as they're not so large to where it can conceal items within the bag. They also can be mesh as well, or a combination of thereof. Mr. Gary, I don't know if would you like to say something?
No, that's basically, the policy on the school bags.
On the policy for that. What about for sporting events? And parents or visitors may be going into sporting events. Is that something that the district is going to look at in the future?
Yes, I don't know if I had an opportunity to speak with Gary about it before today, but yes, we're in the motions of putting a policy together that would cover things like football games, basketball games, and so on. Yes. And
I know one of the other rules or policies that we've also changed within our district is the cell phone policy. Can you elaborate on some of these changes within the district?
Yeah, probably the easiest way I look at it, Renee, is that it's basically following the mindset of the kids during testing week. Whenever we have testing week, cell phones are pretty much just non-existent either in the testing environment or on campus altogether. The one difference, though, is that even the smartwatches are not allowed. Anything that can transmit any kind of social media or any kind of, I guess basically they can get on Wi-Fi or get on the internet. And one of the challenges with that, obviously, is that for the last few years, students have been allowed to have the phones, and you could use it as long as it wasn't considered part of the instructional day. Well, it wasn't, the statute didn't really define what the instructional day was. And as pointed out by Forethought, which is the organization that helps us write our policies, pointed it out that the concern is that an instructional day in Terrebonne Parish may be different than an instructional day, let's say, in New Orleans or St. Charles or whichever the case. And so, but now they've identified it, once the student is basically on the campus, that's the instructional day until the final dismissal bell. And so now some deviations can be made based on a principal's interpretation or event that might be going on. And the example I used when we discussed it as a board was like, say if it's a field day or something like that where the kids may want to take pictures of their friends and things, then a principal could have some latitude with that, but definitely not something they were to use inside the classroom. And quickly, one of the things that is, there are some exceptions when it comes to, say, a student that has maybe a diabetes monitor or something like that.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for giving us that update. We do have to take a short break. Please continue to join us after our break.
Led by a 7-member commission, the Terrebonne Port was created to assist our local industry in promoting economic development. We monitor government regulations that affect our local industry and work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to secure maintenance dredging funds. Because the HNC is the main artery for the heartbeat of Terrebonne's economy, Terrebonne Port fights a constant battle for funding to maintain the federally authorized navigable depth. We are now leasing waterfront and non-waterfront property. Terrebonne Port Commission, serving our industry to keep Terrebonne thriving.
Sea Level Construction is a heavy civil contractor that provides turnkey services for the industrial and marine industries. From building large-scale infrastructure to installing the foundation for expansion projects, Sea Level and its family of companies offer a wide range of capabilities including driven piles, drilled deep foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, marine construction, barge maintenance and repair, site work development, heavy equipment repair services, and electrical services. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundations for your next big project.
Located at 5004 Imperial Drive in Houma, April and Iris is a must-see for those looking for exquisite home decor and gifts. Owned by April Boudreau, along with her talented design team, there is no lack of detail to enhance your shopping experience. April and Iris has all your decor needs.
Come in today and let us help you complete your design vision. It's what we do.
April and Iris, Homa's newest home interior and gift store, where decor and inspiration meet and fulfill all your design needs.
In South Louisiana, storms are a way of life. Every storm poses a different threat, whether from flooding or hurricane-force winds. At All South Consulting Engineers, we help protect our people from these disasters. Before a storm, we work with our leaders to prevent catastrophic damage. After the storm, we help get the resources needed for rebuilding. We have helped our cities, parishes, and school boards recover over $2 billion to rebuild our community. We'll be here for the next one.
Good evening and welcome back to our show, Going Public. I'm Renee Fonseca, and if you are just joining us tonight, joining me from the Terrebonne Parish School District is Mark Torbert, the Child Welfare and Attendance Director, and Gary Williams Sr., our new Security Coordinator. Before the break, we were talking about the new cell phone policy that the district and state has implemented. Do you have any other information that you'd like to further provide?
Yeah, Renee, one thing I want to mention about that is that for the parents to realize that this change was implemented based on what Bessie, after reviewing our current implementation of it, or previous implementation of the policy and the cell phone changes, and they felt like we need to be more specific when it comes to the instructional day. So it is something that's being driven by Louisiana statutes, as well as direction from Bulletin 741, which is basically our school's rule book, if you want to call it that. And so those are the guidelines that we're mandated to follow. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I know after being that we started today, Gary did notice some things that I'd like to turn it back to him to point out some things about the cell phone policy.
Yes, and basically what he's talking about, like today, prior to school starting, myself and several other school board staff personnel, I went personally and viewed one high school, whereas they was going through the metal detectors, and some of the kids didn't have any backpack whatsoever, and they were putting the cell phones in their pockets. They cannot have them at all during instructional time. So, you know, the administrators had to make them aware that they cannot have the cell phones at any time. So that was one of the issues that we had today in reference to them not having a backpack with the cell phone.
So if they don't have a backpack, they have to leave it in their vehicle or leave it at home?
Correct.
Okay. That is something, valuable definitely to, bring up. What other proactive steps is our district taking for security purposes?
I'll turn it to Gary.
Well, in reference to proactive, we've put some additional metal detectors. We're going to have them at sporting events. We're going to also try to implement the clear bag policy, because safety is really a minor inconvenience. It's not something that you buy into. It's something that is necessary when it comes down to protecting kids and the public. So, it's just a minor inconvenience for everybody to try to be safe. And we're going to do as much as we can, put our best foot forward to have this done within the Terrebonne Parish school system.
Now, when a parent is entering the campus, or I know before we talked about a sporting event, what can they expect?
Well, just like we've done in the past, really at some of our bigger events, such as some of the football games that would draw in large crowds, or even off the cuff, I don't recall if we implemented them for basketball games at that point, but just as you would at any other event, similar to, like I said earlier, NFL game, an NBA game, that parents would be expected to, are subject to search. And also the clear bags will be something that will be implemented this year. Something that parents need to keep in mind is that regardless of metal detectors or not, once they enter the campus, and not that I'm trying to speak as if I'm an attorney or something on that line, that once you're on a public school campus, you're subject to search. And so they need to understand that this is not something that's unusual, if you want to call it that. But it is something, obviously, we try to do as discreetly as possible, as quick as possible, because especially in August heat, you don't need people standing in line, getting impatient and things like that because of the process taking too long. And that's also one of the reasons why we implement the clear bag, to try to speed up the process when kids are entering the schools, so that we're not impeding on instructional time, just to speed up that process as well.
Now, if a parent goes to check out a child on the campus, do they also have to provide some type of identification?
Yes, that has been in play for years now. In most cases, parents are used to that process now by this point, and it's at a point where they don't even have to ask for the ID anymore.
And I know we mentioned, some proactive steps. Some of the steps that you guys have talked about is going to be remodeling schools or vestibule areas. Can one of you elaborate on that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Gary, you want to take that?
Well, that portion is very new to me, because when I came in, they had already implemented most of that. We're doing a lot of new fencing, and they are configuring some vestibules to be more safe, secure for parents as well as students when they enter in the building. Mark could talk more about that, because most of that was implemented and started prior to me actually taking this position.
Yeah, so, and I've said it in the past, and I don't want to sound like I'm being insensitive toward the hurricane, but one of the good things that came out of the hurricane is the idea of being able to rethink how we're like we're rebuilding buildings, for example. And so by doing that, while we have to be careful that we're not using, or we can't go outside the scope of what FEMA would pay for in that regard, but we are able to use that opportunity to add a vestibule. And where I'm coming from is, for example, as you look at it, South Terrebonne, when parents start using the new building or when the building is reopened, they'll notice the vestibule. So because it was in the state that it was in, we're able to retrofit a vestibule, but at the expense of the district on that. But FEMA is taking obviously the brunt of those renovations to try to get it back to where it was prior to the storm. But because of the state the building was in, we was able to add the vestibule. Oak Lawn's another example of that. And when the newer buildings are built, based on the damage from the hurricanes, that we're able to implement the vestibules there as well, and obviously adjusting for cost if it's not going to be covered by FEMA. But so those are some things that we're doing as well.
And I know last school year you guys had started doing perimeter fencing. How is that coming along at all the schools as well?
For the most part, it's we're getting to a point where we're looking at some of the smaller elementary schools at this point, and it's still an ongoing process. And as Gary can tell you, that you can always change up what you're doing or look after you implement something and you think, oh, we should have done this or should have done that. And so it's kind of always a moving situation.
Well, it does look like our time is up. I do want to thank you both for joining us tonight. I would like to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Don't forget to join us every week on Going Public. Good night.
A new company with a lot of history, GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.